So we have negative 1x plus 1 equals 6. What do I need to do to get x by itself? Minus 1 this time. And now I'm close to having a solution, but this minus 1 in front isn't what we're looking for. We want to know what positive x is. So we're going to divide both sides by a negative. That dividing by a negative, these two negatives cancel out. So x equals, what's positive 5 divided by negative 1? Negative 5. So here was one solution. Here was a second solution. A tiny bit more complicated than a absolute value of a equals 6, but what to keep in mind is we're going to have a positive situation for our, or a positive case for our absolute value, and a negative case for our absolute value. Some more to practice. Flip the page. Okay, all of these are expressions of absolute value that have more than one thing inside the absolute value. In all of these, you're going to have really two problems. It's a hidden, sneaky two problems in one. Here's the positive case. X plus 7 equals 3. We could look at it with a parentheses and a plus in front, but we realize that's nothing that needs to get distributed. So for the positive case, you can just let those absolute values go away. Here's the negative case. X plus 7 equals 3 with a negative 1 in front. Over here, to get x by itself, I have to subtract the 7. Positive 3, negative 7. Ernesto, positive 3, negative 7. What do we get? Close? Negative 4. Don't forget the negative. Whatever one's bigger, whatever its sign is, that's what you have. Here we go. Good job, though. You knew we were doing a subtract because there's a positive and a negative. Negative 4. So that's going to be the simple side. The positive case is all take away the absolute value and get x by itself. For the negative case, there's a couple more steps. We think of that negative in front because it has to distribute to everything. We multiply a negative 1. Negative 1 times x, negative 1 times 7. Then we need to get the x term by itself. To get rid of that negative 7, I'm adding a positive 7 to both sides. And then what was our last step? This is close to done, but not all the way. Divide by the negative. X equals negative 10. After you do this a lot of times, you can just rewrite it as x equals and change that to its opposite. But you need to know in your head we're dividing by a negative. All right? Now, at your table, you're going to go ahead and do B, C, and D. You may need separate paper. Some of these, you can see I went off into the other side. It depends on how big you write. You may need separate paper. Yes, Andy.
Is this going to be on the test today?
We have a test today?
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Oh, you know what? It's got moved. Sorry. That test, sorry I didn't tell you. That test got moved as we were looking at this stuff, and we were looking at the quiz from last week. We looked at the quiz from last last week and said, hey, we need to spend a little more time on some of this stuff. So what we did with the calculator work and with some of the practices earlier in the week were in response to your quiz. That quiz was okay, but not as good as we wanted you to be at that point. So the test will be next week. Yes?
So are we going to add some of this stuff?
Yes,
Okay.
this stuff will be on that test when we take it, but it won't be today. Okay? Good. Sorry if that was hanging over your head. All right now, B, C, and D, I'm going to be walking around to help and see how it's going. So do you have stuff? Oh, you put it up there? One case as a negative, one case you're doing it as the positive. Okay. See how we did here, this was positive, and here, this was negative. Is that what you were asking about? When you said always, there are two
These lines.
right here. The second part always has a negative.
You're going to essentially solve this
Yes.
one time where you're going to solve this, and the other time you're going to solve it where basically all the signs of it.
I'll be there in a second, Brody.
This is a positive exercise for the other nine. You'll solve it like this. You're going to solve it again.